been a while since we did a review video, and I was just listening to this. Woke up early today. Sometimes I need something in my ears. Keep me motivated, keep me up. Better than just coffee, okay? Still drink your coffee. But I was watching Alex Emoji and I want to do a reaction video, okay? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Of course, it's been a while since I blessed y'all with the reaction video, so I'm going to just go ahead and let this play, and I'm going to share my thoughts. You guys let me know what you think on the comments below. Alex, let's go.
The reason you're dissatisfied is because you want things you don't have, and you are unhappy with the trades that you've made, but you want to keep the things you got from making those trades and then also retrade whatever it is that you gave to get what you've got for something else without.
Let me set the premise here, okay? We all kind of desire the same things. We all want a lot of money. We all desire financial freedom. Everybody's definition of a lot of money is completely different. We all want a family. Some people do, some people don't. But you know, we nobody wants to die alone. Let's just be that. We all want to feel important. We all want and desire mostly all the same things. Some of us have different ways on how we want to accomplish these goals, but in essence, we all desire the same things. The thing is, though, is our expectations in this set things sometimes are a little bit, what I want to say, too high. And what he's expressing in this video, how you need to focus on low expectations but high commitment. You know, one of the best examples that he explains in the video, and you're going to hear him talk about it, is, you know, what we want in a partner. It's somewhat unrealistic, especially in today's world. You know, I'm a man. I like men. I like women. Let me fix that up. I like women. So when we think about the ideal partner in today's world, we want somebody that's going to be great with our kids, that, you know, also is a great friend, is an emotional therapist, and, you know, also cooks, cleans, and does all of these things. But we live in a world that also the woman most likely usually works in the house, you know, so they're at work pretty much all day. So when they get home, they're tired and they don't really live up to those expectations that we in our brain have in mind as to, you know, what a woman should be, you know. Another example that he elaborates on here is he talks about we all want to be a successful small business owner, and, you know, you want a family and you want this, but you have to make trades. And you can't really have it all. You know, when you look at Alex, him and his relationship, you know, he doesn't have any kids, and you can see how much he's poured into his business. It's part of the reason why he's grown as much as he has, you know. And when somebody like myself is comparing himself to Alex, I have 3 kids. I started having my first kid at like 21. You know, there's this stress that I create for myself that is unnecessary. You know, that's not the path that he chose, but I'm literally trying to compare myself with him. I'm trying to compare my accomplishments with his accomplishments. He has way more time in a day than I do. You know, I got to sometimes pick up kids from school at 3 o'clock. He doesn't have to worry about that. You know, I have to, you know, worry about getting the kids to sleep at a specific time, you know, waking them up to get ready for school. He does not ever have to worry about that. You know, I have to worry about daycare. I have to worry about, you know, making sure that they make it to the sports game. So life, there's trades that we have to make, is what he elaborates in this video. That's one thing that I really love about how he explains it. So let me just go ahead and let him talk, and, you know, I'll be quiet.
About accepting the downsides and trades of getting that thing. And so I was having this conversation with, you know, a friend of mine who's kind of in his dating period of life, trying to figure out, you know, who's going to marry and whatnot. And he sends me these very long, you know, voice notes and text messages about how it's like, should I have a stay-at-home mom type wife, a wife who's like, you know, career-oriented, or should I try and have somebody who would work with me? And he's just going through this whole, you know, rigmarole. And he's struggled with this for a while. And fundamentally, it comes down to this, which is that he wants everything. And I'm not just saying this about him. I'm saying this about us, about all of us, right? It's like we want it all. And one of the key, you know, formulas for getting dissatisfied with life is wanting everything with limited resources in terms of time, energy, effort, life, in order to get them. And so I see this key thing, myself included here, that I'll do sometimes where.
How many people feel like that? We want everything, but with limited resources. You know, money, time, just really mental capacity. Your brain can only handle so much. And then we stress ourselves out because we don't want these things that we desire. Me, I can put myself as an example here. I have 3 kids, but no successful relationship. I love my son's moms, both of them. I have, my firstborn was born when I was like 20 years old. It didn't really work out. And then I had another relationship with a woman, and we ended up having 2 children. I tried to make that relationship work out for years. I think we were together for like 8 years. Just didn't end up working out. But still, that longing, that desire for a partner is still there. And maybe my expectations was not, um, in tune with the current society. And this kind of grounds you to what your expectations are.
Or I'll get something that I want, and then I'll look at something else that's a different path and be like, I want that too, but we used up the same resource to get it, right? It's like if you have gas in the car and you're like, well, I've got 1 tank worth of gas, and you're like, I want to get to Toledo, and then you get to Toledo and you're like, I actually really want to get to Orange County. Well, all of a sudden you're like, I used up my tank of gas. It's like, well, I want to go to Orange County too. It's like, well, you're in Toledo. You know what I mean? Like, you made that call. And so what's interesting is that we regret the lives we have because of paths not taken, without taking into consideration the trades we made then. And so one of the things that I feel like I've been practicing a lot has been this effort of trying to play it out more, which is like, okay, well, let's say that we went to Orange County, not Toledo. Well, I might be thinking in Orange County, like, man, Toledo's got all these things that are going on there, and they've got these great sites, and they've got, more modest people, and, right? And so it's like all paths have things that you don't currently have. But the other part is like, okay, well, whatever path I choose not to play out also has costs. And so we have the perceived benefits of this other path, which might not be as good as we think they are, right? And then we have these unknown costs, which might be significantly worse than they are. And so I was talking to him, about this, and I was like, well, listen, man, like, all 3 of these paths are fine. And I've seen really successful people who are in all 3 of these, paths, like stay-at-home situation.
So initially you decided to go to Toledo, Ohio, and you get there, but now you want the feeling of being in New York. We've all been there. And we really got to accept the path that we've taken and understand that if we want to make it to New York, we need to find some gas money for that trip to New York. And it's going to be a whole different, path and transition in order to make it to a different destination.
In parallel situation, aligned or combined situation, all 3 work, right? But like, wanting the benefits of all 3 is what gets us in trouble, right? I think I saw Esther Perel make this clip.
And there you go. That's what got me in trouble right there. You want
the problems that we have is
you want the benefits of all 3. You want you want to have a successful business, but yet you don't have the time to really invest in order to make that business to be as successful as you need it to be. Because it's going to take more than just 8 hours a day. Okay. It's going to take massive action in order for you to make a business successful. You want a successful family, but yet you're spending 12 hours a day building your business. You want a successful relationship, and you have these requirements or standards that you want for your partner. But most of them are generally realistic in today's world. We have, especially as men, sometimes we tend to put these unrealistic standards. And I think women too as well. You got the women that, want the 6'6", 6 foot, 6-figure income, 6-pack, and anyway.
Like, people are worse. It's just that our expectations are higher. It's like we expect our spouse to be professional, a professional business person, to be an intellectual sparring partner, to be an intellectual sparring partner, to be your, if it's a guy, it's like your maid and your housekeeper, also the mother and great parent, for your kids, also somebody who's like interested in the same hobbies as you, and also your passionate lover. It's like, it's trying to cram 10 humans into one, right? Like, you make trades, right? There are things that you're going to get, and there's things that you're going to trade. And, we get dissatisfied when we just make trades. And I see this like kind of like for us as individuals that there's kind of these stages you go through. Like in the beginning, you just blame everyone else for why you don't have what you want, right? That's like stage one. Stage two, you learn how to get stuff. So now you get something that you want, but you're like, man, I want that other path, right? I want the benefits of that without the costs of that. But in my mind, I've been imagine getting both my current life and that life, and then I'm just going to be dissatisfied since I don't have both. And I heard this really interesting quote, which I love. Not wanting something is as good as having it. Not wanting it is as good as having it. And I think about this trade all the way up, right? It's like when we die, because people are always like, I really, they get to the end of their life and then they have these quote regrets. They look back and they try and like quote give advice. But like, I actually don't take as much credence in that. And I'll explain why. It's not like I don't, respect old people. It's more a human thing than an old person thing. Just that when we die wanting another life or a different life, it really just comes down to, I wish I had the benefits of another life while also maintaining the benefits of my own. And if someone's a little bit more astute, they'd say, well, I would trade the benefits of that life that's unknown for the life that, for the benefits of the life that I have. But it still has kind of contained within it, all these are known. So you're still trading novelty, right? Which makes sense. But it doesn't actually inform decision making in a good way. And so what ends up happening is we create this equation, right? Like life becomes miserable when you want everything but have limited resources to get it, which then you say, I will be dissatisfied unless I get everything. And by the way, everything will change. The thing I want, I'll change it. As soon as I get it, I'll change it so that I can maintain dissatisfaction. Think about how wild this is. Like, we proclaim that unless I get everything, an impossible thing, I will be dissatisfied. So you might as well just say, I choose to be dissatisfied. That is what I demand this.
Let that hit home for a second. Unless I get everything I want, I'll be dissatisfied. This is literally how, and this is confession time here. This is literally how most people live their life. This is literally how I've lived my life for a long period of time, until I've realized, probably within the last year or two, that even your desires, once you reach that so-called goal, it doesn't really make you happy, because as human beings, we always want more and more and more. So it's a very unrealistic expectations to have on yourself, I must add, and it's almost narcissistic in nature, to think that this is even possible.
Of course, the universe doesn't care. You're not going to get you that stuff. Back to my friend, a lot of this, I think, comes down to...
You've made it to Ohio, but now you're mad that you're not in New York. Okay, you don't want to make the effort to make it to New York. It's kind of stupid.
Commitment and expectations. When Layla and I decided to get married, we actually got married pretty fast, and
this is dope. I love when he touches on this. So let's pay attention here. Commitment and expectations. And he's taught me one thing that is really, really powerful on here, because mine was completely backwards. Low expectations, high commitment. Because most people have it backwards, where we have very high expectations but very low commitment. I can see and I can confess in my relationships that I've had with most of my girlfriends, and most of the relationships that I should have succeeded, my expectations were right here, but my commitment sometimes was not where it needed to be. Okay. And maybe sometimes I had the high commitment, but my partner had very low commitment as well, and vice versa. So a powerful message right here.
So like look at marriage stuff right afterwards. But one of the things that we looked at was like, what are the commonalities between marriages that last? And it's not actually what you think. But I narrowed it into two kind of buckets here. And I think this goes for any endeavor, not just marriage, but like big life choices. High commitment, low expectations. That's the pairing. If you think about commitment as the elimination of alternatives, well, then that makes sense that if you eliminate all alternatives, that by default you'll stay on the path that you're currently on, whether it's marriage, whether it's business, you just eliminate all alternatives. That's another shot. You're committed. And then low expectations, which is like, okay, you're committed here. Maybe you don't get married, but then you can either change reality or lower expectations. So then you just have low expectations and you're not going anywhere. And the thing is that if you have low expectations and you're not going anywhere, then reality is likely higher than your expectations, which ends up meaning that you're above expectations for the rest of your life. And so that has always been my, like, whenever I feel like this creep of dissatisfaction or wanting more or things like that or wanting different. And to be clear, this is not to be said, I figured out life here. Just sharing a thought that I was thinking about for myself too. High expectation, low commitment. Because I played out the other way for him, in particular. I was like, if you were in a town of 500 people and you were of marriage age, you'd have a pick of like 25 girls, right? And you'd be like, the one I don't hate. Right? Like, you'd be like, all right, there we go. And people have been doing that for much longer than they've been doing unlimited swipes. And so, like, we just have this very odd perspective on reality, which is that we want all of the upside and none of the downside. We want a perfect life and demand that we have one, and then are dissatisfied when our lives are not perfect. We want all the upside. Like, we want to trade. We want all the good stuff. It's like, I'll play this out. So it's like, I want the benefit of having a really short wife who's itty bitty, whatever. And I also want a girl that's, 6'1" and can like mother linebackers.
And this, I wish I knew some of these things when I was starting my relationship journey. One of the things that I love about Alex is his personal relationship. And if you haven't heard this before, one of the most important decisions that you'll make is the person that you decide to spend the rest of your life with. As far as one of the most important financial decisions that you will ever make is the person that you decide to spend the rest of your life with. Okay. I didn't learn that later on until I was, 3 kids in. So if you're young, or if, you haven't made that decision, and you definitely have that craving, you want children yourself, you want that family, then what he shares in this video is truly powerful. And it really should guide you through what the dynamics of the relationship is, especially as it pertains to what your expectations are.
Well, I want both. You got to pick one. But I want both. Okay, be dissatisfied and just never choose. Right? Like this is actually really, really real. So many people stay stuck because they can't decide. They're literally unwilling to they'll literally just stay there. They just stay undecided and somehow expect to get more information about an apparent contradiction. Like, you expect that you're going to get more information? Like, this is the choice. You have to make it. And if you don't make the choice, you don't get the benefits of either. And that's what's wild. And so, like, I think about this a fair amount because there's just so many choices that we have to make, right, throughout life, where, like, some doors are reversible, right? But the big doors in life are irreversible. It's hard to go back, right? Like, you can't become 20 years old again. You can't marry another person again. You can't pick another business. I mean,
did you hear that? Some doors are reversible, but the big doors are not. I can't go back. 36 years old right now. One thing I really do, one decision that I did make right was starting a business at a very young age. I kind of skipped that 20s partying stage because I was building my business. That was just a really powerful message. That was a really powerful message that,
you can get divorced from your business. It's just painful. There's wind down periods. Who comes with you to your new business, who doesn't. Like, it's a whole mess, right? So you can get divorced from your marriage, right? You can do that, but it's tough, right? And so we have these doors that we can really only go through one time. And people will just stand at the precipice of the door and just wait their entire lives, never getting what's on the other side of either door or either path. And so I think, like, a prized trait is the ability to both make decisions and to make good decisions. And I'll give the third, and this is me mostly talking to myself, as you can see, being happy with our decisions, which I think is a significantly underrated skill. Like, first you have to learn how to decide, right? If you don't make decisions, you do nothing. Then you have to learn how to decide well so that your decisions work out. you get more of what you want. And then number 3 is that you have to not change what you said you wanted from the decision that you made, and or just be satisfied with whatever you get on the other side of that decision. With the ultimate obviously just being that you didn't want anything to begin with, which is we can all become Buddhist monks. Until that day comes, I would say that it's been helpful for me to just simply recognize the trades that I made and say, yes, I am okay with this trade. And then whenever I think about an alternative path, just reminding myself, well, there would be costs on that path, and the upside of that path is probably not as good as I think it is. And so me just being real with you, like, I've been kind of about as happy or unhappy as I am now for like a pretty long time. And I like, this is me just being really real. I think if I were to play out 3 different lifetimes for me in different countries and different upbringings, the whole thing, like, I think I'd probably be about as happy or unhappy as I am now. Like, I'm just being real. Like, I just, as much as I like, and that actually, just actually thinking that has dramatically decreased my anxiety around some stuff, like my worries. This is like, wow, I'd probably be about as happy as I am now. I'd have different variables, but it would probably equate to where I'm at. So I gave the tall girl, short girl, for a girl example. It's like maybe it's like a richer guy, a poorer guy. I don't know. I don't know what the example would be. Maybe it's a richer guy, sorry, a taller guy and a shorter guy for girls. I don't know. But the idea is like fundamentally, like there's just going to be trades that you're going to make. And everyone might think, oh, no, I would definitely want the rich guy. Well, let's play it out. Let's actually play it out. Look at the wives of rich dudes. Are they happy? Not always. Look at the wives of poor dudes. Are they happy? Not always. Which basically just means humans will human. We will be dissatisfied, independent of our circumstance. And that, honestly, at the end of the day, like, we are the problem. Like, we are the problem. Like, we think there's something, like, we are the problem. And so that's actually my little, like, refrain that I have for myself whenever I have this little creeping dissatisfaction spider that creeps up my neck. I just hear, like, you are the problem. You are the problem. And then I think, okay, I am the problem. What expectations do I have that I set arbitrarily for myself that I deemed dissatisfactory when the world did not meet them? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if I just remove that, it's as good as having it. Right. Good to know. So, anyways, love you all. Just a little morning thoughts.
Appreciate you for that, Alex. That was really powerful. Hopefully that message hit home just like you do, just like it did for me. And I think I'm going to call this video, You Are the Problem. Okay? Because literally you are. Your desires, your thoughts, your expectations as it pertains to life, those stress you out more than life itself. I've gotten to that point where life is simply there for you to experience it. And for you to set these expectations on others sometimes is also a bit narcissistic as well. So anyway, that's the video for today. Hopefully you like this reaction video, and I'll see you on the next one.